Good morning.
Good morning. So this is your jam.
This is my jam, coaching
Okay.
people, conflict resolution.
I love it. So coach them up or coach them out. Tell us about this.
Coach them up or coach them out. There's only two ways that someone can be given feedback in the workplace. And there's really only two ways they can go.
Sure.
Either you're coaching them up, meaning you're getting them to their most effective potential in their role, or you're giving them feedback in the direction out of that position, and that you're giving them feedback that is saying, listen, this is the expectation, you didn't meet it. This is the expectation, you didn't meet it. But what happens is people don't do that, and then they just sort of flounder and coast. No. You are always moving people up or you're moving them out. That's it. And moving them up doesn't mean getting promoted.
Right.
It just means you're moving, you're elevating them to their highest potential. You know,
so I was going to say, and you do, I'm sorry, you do this through coaching. You keep using the term coaching.
So what is coaching? I'm so excited we're talking about this. Coaching is when you give direct feedback to somebody based off their actions, all right? So you are not saying, wow, you're really lazy, or you're being really passive aggressive with your coworker. Instead, it's, you were assigned to bring the agenda to the meeting and you did not bring it. The expectation is that if we are to give you an assignment, you are to bring it. And then you have to say what the new expectation is. The expectation is that you work with purchasing to determine a new budget. And instead, you created the budget and sent it to purchasing, advising them this is the direction. That is not what you were supposed to be doing. Coaching is very specific, and it's very much just about the actions you take, the behaviors you did, not describing them and not making it about your personality.
Right.
You're difficult. You're aggressive. Those words don't help me.
Right. How can you learn from that?
What am I supposed to do if you tell me that I'm too pushy, or if I'm going to tell an employee you're being passive aggressive? You're like, because they can deny that, but you can't deny actions. You have to talk about literally what they did.
Right.
You did not copy so and so on the email. You can even describe behaviors like you are sighing, because some people think, well, how am I? It's very subtle. Well, what did they do? How do you know? Well, they were sighing and rolling their eyes, tapping their pen very aggressively. Great, then say you kept tapping your pen repeatedly, heavy sighing and rolling your eyes. What you don't want to say are things that you might use in conversation like, oh my gosh, my employee's being so difficult. Okay, great, you and I can have that conversation, but I cannot improve as an employee.
Right.
And so if you want, first off, you should always want to be having an effective workplace.
Right.
Like, you don't want to have a workplace where you've got ineffectiveness, coasting and hanging out, okay?
Right.
Those are time sucks. You don't want that.
Right.
So you're either coaching them up all the time, and giving feedback doesn't necessarily mean saying, like, this is what you have to improve. Feedback is, Jacqueline, you hit that segment right on the mark. That's exactly what we needed. The pacing was great, the lighting was great, the conversation was great. Keep doing that. That's feedback.
Right.
So it's not always about telling somebody what
It's not always negative.
No, not at all. But I need to know where I stand.
Sure.
And the only way I know where I'm standing is if you give me feedback via coaching.
Right, via coaching. I like that. So how can a manager overcome fearing the backlash, the negative response when trying to coach up an employee?
Right, or coach them out.
Or coach them out, right.
That's why people typically don't give feedback. That's why a manager won't have a conversation, because they don't want to deal with somebody getting mad at them. They don't want to deal with somebody ignoring them or snubbing them in the hallway. Well, first off, if an employee reacts unprofessionally and they huff off and start ignoring you, well, guess what? That's unprofessional behavior that you need to coach them on.
Right.
So you shouldn't be afraid. They should control themselves. So if you have an employee that starts giving you an attitude, okay, let's describe it, rolling their eyes, calling you names, then you get through that conversation, but you bring them back and you coach them on that behavior, you see. You hold them accountable every time.
All right, well, to learn more about Julie, you can head to her website, 7602coach.com. You can also follow her on Instagram at Julie Couret and on Facebook at 7602coach.